Hello, welcome to Atrocious Gameplay. Today, we are going to be going over the character rare cards in VMAX Climax. Now, VMAX Climax, if you do not know, is a high-class Japanese set coming out at the time that this video releases, tomorrow, December 3rd. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, character rares have taken the scene by storm in Pokemon. I've made a tier list template that you can use yourself. I'll provide it in the description below if you want to fill this out, but let me give you the categories. Basically, the first one, the top one, I need these cards or, you know, I'm gonna die. The next one, if we don't get this in English, I'm mad. I was super mad when the full art supporters from Tag All-Star did not make it into the US. And so these cards, if we don't get them in English or the rest of the world, I'm gonna be super upset. The next one, this is a good pull. If I'm opening up a booster box or some loose packs of VMAX Climax and I end up pulling one of these cards, although it's not one of my chase cards, I'm gonna be super happy to get it. The next one, sure, it's nice, but I'll trade for better. It's not necessarily a great pull that I'm super excited about, but it's not a bad pull either. But if I have the opportunity to get a card, let's say in these first two tiers that I don't have, I'll definitely consider it as trade fodder. And then the final one, as usual in tier list, is the worst tier, or why did I have to pull this? If I get this in a booster box and this is my one super character rare pull or whatever, I'm gonna kind of be upset. Remember, as always with these tier lists, that this is completely opinionated, but let me know what your favorites are in this upcoming set. The first one we're gonna go in with this Abomasnow. Now, this Abomasnow with price looks pretty good, but honestly, not a huge fan of the Abomasnow, not a huge fan of price either, not even super memorable. I had to Google him to remember what his name was. I just know he's a Johto gym leader. So, I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit upset. But going into the next one, Milo and Flapple. This is a beautiful card. Flapple, one of the, I would say probably the worst Applin evolution, because Appleton is great. But in the video game, this is canon as a dynamic duo. And just look at the happy smile on Milo or Milo or however you want to pronounce it. I would say, you know what? This is a good pull. It's not one of my favorite Pokemon or one of my favorite gym leaders in a Galar, but I'm super happy with this and I like this. I think the colors are beautiful. I think the art is very soft, which brings a lot to the personality of Milo, and I think this is a really good job. Now, Leon and Charizard. Now, if you have listened to the Metapod podcast, a Pokemon TCG podcast where I cover news, the meta, anything else Pokemon TCG related with my buddy Gyroshawn on a weekly basis on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever, you know that I'm not a Charizard guy. I think Charizard cards a lot of times are just overhyped, overrated, but I really like this card. This, in my opinion, is probably the best Charizard card we've ever gotten. I don't think it's a surprise that Leon is with Charizard in this, being that we're in a Sword and Shield era, and Red is featured on other cards that we'll get to here soon. But just the absolute personality that you see with this pair and the absolute warmth that you feel, it just gives you a smile looking at this card. And honestly, I really want a shot at getting this card. Now we start getting into the evolution, showcasing Flareon and Garion. To be honest, I mean, I love the evolutions. I love the personality that this brings in Gary or Blue, whichever you want to call him, because we don't see him give this like cheesy smile as usual, but Flareon doesn't feel like Flareon's getting a lot of personality either. Like, I would personally prefer the Flareon EX, which is a phenomenal card. I want personality somewhat like that. Like, even a small little smile goes a long way. So it'd be great to pull, but I would probably trade it if something else came around. Now we go into Vaporeon and Gary, and this is a phenomenal card in my opinion. I absolutely love this. I would hope that other people get the chance to get this in English as well, because this again brings personality. I mentioned the smiling in the Flareon picture with Gary / Blue, But in this one, it's a little bit different because they're searching, they're walking around looking for something in the wilderness. So that's what Gary Blue, it's fitting the vibe. And then being in a swamp, Vaporeon just swimming around, having a good time. It's very cute, it's very charming, and I love it. Now, Kingdra and Claire, a dynamic duo that is very much canon in the Pokemon game from all the way back in Johto. And this is a good embodiment of their relationship. She absolutely loves dragon Pokemon in the games, in the anime, etc. And so this is how I feel that she is good with Kingdra. Going up the waterfall as well, and especially now that we are in the fall season, almost in winter, not quite there yet. The colors on this card fit perfect as well. So I definitely want this card potentially, and I want a lot of other people to have this card as well, because this card also playability, even though it's not very good, is a very cool card to come out of the set. Now, Pogtillery, this is a really cool card, and let me tell you, this is the first one to where if I don't get it, I will die. Not only is this a super playable card, but Octillery on the fishing docks, just in the bucket, having a good time with the fisherwoman over there. Absolutely cool card. Your eyes immediately go to the Octillery in the color contrast, and then all the soft blues and the playful light colors all around this just give it a good addition and a good vibe to the overall art, and I absolutely love this. This is a sweet card. Now, going on to Frostmoth and Melanie. People love Melanie for whatever reason. If you are curious and you want to Google Melanie fan art, be careful out there. This picture with her and Frostmoth is phenomenal as well. I absolutely love this card. It's very beautiful. Frostmoth, a very elegant Pokemon, and this card brings that embodiment with the different lights. You know, Melanie's got those Christmas lights. They're very elegant. They're very almost artistic, and Frostmoth gives that same feel along with Melanie and how she dresses in the games, the anime, etc. So this is a card definitely, I agree, I'm gonna need. And hopefully it's not super expensive, but like I mentioned earlier, Melanie's on the card, and might be hard to get. Now, moving into Blue/Jolteon, this combo, this is a really cool card. This is in a different art style, in my opinion, than the other two illustrated by Dom, and I think that this really knocks it out of the park. Jolteon is a fast, quick, kind of aggressive Pokemon, and so in the form of battling with its trainer, I think is a really good illustration of this card. I would be really happy with this pull, but I don't think it beats out Vaporeon and Gary. This one just warms my heart. Now, the next one, Flaffy and Elsa, Elsa, I don't think it's Elsa. Anyways, whatever it is, this is a very pretty card. This gym leader here, if you do not know, is kind of an idol superstar type deal. So it works out with Flaffy that she's grooming the Flaffy, getting it ready for a performance, battle, etc. I think this is a really cute, loving card, and honestly, I'd put it in the good pull. It's not the #1 Pokemon I think of with this trainer being Zebstrika or Rotom. Thank you, Pokemon Masters, for giving me that indication. But I think it's still a really cool card, and I'd be happy with pulling it. Now we move into N and Zekrom. This is one of the original character rares that was announced and revealed, and honestly, it's in my need or die. You may have heard me on the Metapod podcast say that I absolutely need this card, and it rings true. It may not be my favorite anymore, but it's definitely up there in ones that I have to have, or I will consider this whole trek a failure. I mean, looking at him, that's exactly what I would do with the Zekrom too. I would definitely fly through the sky. And with N being such a great character, in my opinion, one of the best Pokemon rivals that we've had, while also being a legendary trading card, this is a no-brainer in my opinion. Now, on to the Gardevoir. You may have seen some things about Gardevoir and some notable Pokemon creators getting banned for things about Gardevoir.
I tweeted, "Do it again, Twitter. You won't with this photo." Twitter, What are you gonna do?
But anyways, here right now, Gardevoir and the Doctor, I think this is a really, really cool illustration, because when we think of doctors and stuff, we think of Blissey and Chansey and things like that, but Gardevoir having that vibe as well. This is canon in the Sword and Shield video game. There's a trainer that has the Gardevoir, so I think this is a really cool card that fits. It's not something that I'd have to have, but I think this is a really cool Easter egg. I think this is a really good illustration, and one that I'm very happy with if I pull it. Now we got Bayonet and Phoebe kicking off the ghost types over here, and I think this is an astounding card. I definitely want this in my collection if I can grab it, and I hope other people can get this too, because this is absolutely cool. Not only is it sinister with the dark colors, not a lot of lighting in this photo, but also just the pure enjoyment. You know, Phoebe is kind of doing a dance that's kind of her character, and it looks like Bayonet's doing that kind of same thing. And I think the vibe really fits well. It checks out in this card. So I definitely think that we should get the chance to get this character rare, and I hope that we do. Now, going into Morty and a Dusknoir character rare. You know, when I think of Morty, I think of how his team consisted of all Haunters and Gengars as a Johto gym leader, and honestly, he's been on my hit list ever since that time. But this card is actually pretty okay in my opinion. It's not incredibly sinister as I get the vibe from Dusknoir, but it does kind of have that soft feel because Morty is kind of that soft character, and although I like it, I probably wouldn't keep it if I have the opportunity to trade it and get something better. Now, this is a combination that I don't think many people thought of. Malamar and Zerosic. A lot of people probably don't even know who this character is. Not a very memorable character in the X and Y storyline. And then also a card in the trading card game that didn't survive past rotation when it moved out of the standard format. This is a really, really cool card, actually, in my personal opinion, and really, I need this card. This might be a take that not a lot of people say, but this is a really, really cool card. Malamar, a sinister Pokemon in my opinion. I mean, just look at the Dex entries in the Pokemon games. It wields the most compelling hypnotic powers of any Pokemon and forces others to do whatever it wants. It flashes a pattern on its torso to control its prey and draw them in. The edges of its fins are supremely sharp. This is a spooky Pokemon, and this illustration of it is, in my opinion, so good. It's so dark. You see Zerosic with the glasses on, pulling on those gloves, ready to take action and take over the world. And those Malamar's eyes, those yellow eyes, are something that you immediately look at and you think, oh god, I'm in trouble. This is a really, really cool card. I need this card in my collection, and I really hope to get it, especially because, you know, I'm kind of blinging out my Malamar Rapid Strike deck potentially in the future, because I absolutely love playing this deck, even if it's not tier 1. And I would love to put a playset of these Malamars in it. Let's go into Dedenne now. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who this character is, but that doesn't change the fact that this is an absolutely beautiful card. We've gotten very memorable Dedenne cards over the last several years, including Dedenne GX, one of the most playable Pokemon cards in the last couple years. And then also Dedenne and Mad Party having excellent alternate art, shiny forms, etc. And although this isn't the Mad Party Dedenne, this is so colorful, so cool. If you know me and you've been around this channel and my content for a long time, you know I love colors. And this Dedenne just being a superstar, absolutely, this variety, this splash of colors is so loving in my opinion. I love this appeal. It's very drawing to me personally, and I'll be really mad if we don't get this in another language. The only reason it's not on my need or die is I don't really know the character. Moving into Alcremie in the Cafe, man, I really like this card. This is a very, very soft card. Alcremie, a really really cool Pokemon in my opinion. One of my favorites from Sword and Shield, having a ton of forms. But the one thing that makes me just make it kind of an average card, something that I'd be happy with if I pulled it, but not super ecstatic, is that it's just the regular Alcremie. Like when I think of Alcremie, this is the one that I think of. And I think it would be really, really cool if with all the Alcremie cards that they're printing, they put different Alcremies on it. I mean, Alcremie, before it's shiny, has 63 different possible looks. 63! Why are we using the same one again and again on TCG cards? Like, it would be so cool if they just did a little bit of variety with this. Moving into the Rockruff and Professor Kukui, this is a very adorable card. Dogs, we think of absolutely cute, absolutely wonderful. We love dogs for the most part. And just this sleeping puppy with its exposed belly is adorable, I will say. It's a really cute card. I wish we were getting a little bit more of Professor Kukui alongside this card, but I'd be happy about it because, again, who doesn't love Rockruff? Now, going on to this Karate Master and Passimian, this is a really, really cool card in my opinion. I love not only this card in general in different decks, but I love the illustration on this card. It's very beautiful, it's very well done. Again, has a lot of colors, but you get that vibe that you're in the deep, deep parts of the jungle, and they're training Passimian, always throwing those balls. And so Passimian always throwing those balls because it's very sporty, athletic, and teaching this trainer on the proper technique of throwing Pokeballs. I absolutely love to see it. I think it's really, really good, and I'd be super happy with this pull. Now, moving along with this one, be another fan favorite. Again, be careful when Googling Bee fan art. But anyways, this is a really, really cool illustration of Bee. We know her as a fighter. We know her as tough. But this brings her another personality with the Phalanx. Very, very cute with the Rapid Strike Phalanx. Just traveling, exploring, buying things at a market, and all of the Phalanx helping her out, getting and gathering and carrying all this stuff, I think is a really, really cool and beautiful illustration. It's different from what we've seen. If you saw the Pokemon Evolutions episode, you may have seen this side of Bee a little bit, but I think this is very beautiful. And honestly, if people don't get the chance to have this card, I'm gonna be upset. Now, Janine and Ariados. People love this combination, including myself, and I love Ariados as a Pokemon. I'm not a big spider guy, but this is a very, very cool card and a very, very cool illustration. Ariados, similar to the other kind of spooky Pokemon, this gives off a very sinister vibe that I really, really love. And with Janine, with the, you know, slanted eyebrows and the smile, makes you realize if I meet you in a dark alley, I'm donezo. Therefore, I gotta put it in the I hope we get this in other languages tab, because honestly, this might be one of the few cards that actually looks good with a yellow border because of Ariados's color scheme of having the yellow in its legs. Now, moving on to Houndoom and Grimsley. I remember when this card was announced, and this is a interesting pair in itself together, but honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this. I feel like this is a super typical pose and look of Grimsley. It doesn't give me anything different with him. And the Houndoom, I mean, the Houndoom illustration is cool, don't get me wrong. But if I want a Houndoom card to bling out my single strike deck, I would much rather have the gold or the pre-release promo. Heck, even the regular art is really, really good in my opinion. Houndoom has had incredible cards specifically with this single strike roar card, and honestly, I mean, it's cool. I would like it, but I'd trade it. Now, Piers and Obstagoon. Piers, a rock star in his own right, although in the video game, it's kind of weird that you don't actually hear words when he's screaming into the mic. It's kind of comical, but I absolutely love this pair, and I absolutely love this card as well. Love the rockin' with the Obstagoon, obvious inspiration by Kiss, and especially with Piers holding out that microphone for the Obstagoon, a true dynamic duo and a true loving pair. Absolutely love seeing what their main thing is in the video games and their whole inspiration, and I think it's a really, really sweet card. Now let's go into Jasmine and Bronzong. This is a very, very interesting art, and I think this is one of the more aesthetically pleasing cards in the set, to be honest, especially in the area of something like ruins and stuff that they're in. This art really does give you the vibe of like an older style that fits the rest of the image and its characters inside it. Curious, looking around type things, searching, and I think overall it's a good pull. We already got character rare of Jasmine and Steelix, and to be honest, I would say that this is just a good pull, not necessarily one that I'm overly excited about, because truthfully I feel like the Steelix and Jasmine is a better one from Dream League. Now call me a fake Pokemon fan, but I don't know honestly who is with this Druddigon. I do like though with this dragon card, what a theme that they've been doing since they brought back Dragon Pokemon is putting like a little slash in the corner of the card next to the typing. I think that's a really neat tidbit that they included. And I think that this is a very soft card. I mean, we got the Druddigon sleeping in there. We have the girl studying. This is a good combo, and this is a very fitting card with the illustration, and the art matches it in my opinion. I think it's kind of nice. I would be all right with pulling it, but I'd probably trade it away in all honesty. I mean, not a very memorable character, not the first thing I'm thinking of when I think of Druddigon. And I wouldn't say that it's a super memorable card. Like when I think of VMAX Climax, I don't think I think of this card. Now, Eevee and Bill, absolutely cute combination. People love Eevee. People have known Bill all the way since Kanto. And this is a combination done again and again. I'm kind of glad that they didn't use Blue or Gary for this, because if you don't remember, he was in the Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon illustrations. But I think that this is an overall pretty good card. It's very cute, it's very wonderful, and honestly, I'd be happy to have this in my collection. Now, moving into Castform and Sharon. For those of you that don't know, I love Castform. You know, Castform is a little bit goofy, I will say, and people make fun of its things, but I think this is a really good depiction. Castform, if you do not know, is the weather Pokemon and has different forms that change alongside whatever weather is around it. And with Sharon being a know-it-all from Unova, absolutely nerdy dude, I gotta have this card in my collection. I think this is a great depiction. I think Sharon alongside the Stoutland as well is really, really good. And I think this runs up with it. The Castform, just a super happy Pokemon talking about the weather, and Sharon with this serious attitude, teaching and learning about the weather. And I absolutely love it. And to be honest, I need this. Now, before we get into the super character rares, we gotta go over this final one, and it's a Rangaroo and this beach lady. I'm not exactly sure who this is exactly, but a Rangaroo getting plenty of arts within the last couple years and some very playable cards as well. This one being the Primate Wisdom one. And I think that this is a really, really cool card. It's very colorful, it's very inviting, and it's definitely one that I would be happy with in my collection. The only thing that I have with this though is that neither the Rangaroo or the girl are the immediate things that I look at. It's good that they're in the middle, but I don't know, they don't really pop out at me per se. Now, before we get into the super character rares, make sure if you've made it this far in the video, you might as well like the video, you might as well subscribe, you might as well leave a comment of the cards that you like. We're approaching 700 subscribers here on YouTube, and I would love if you came back for more videos, including seeing the Metapod podcast, the Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. We talk about card news, we talk about new announcements, releases, the meta of both standard, expanded. We bring on guests too that we've had on the show, including Real Breaking Nate, Celios Network, wonderful different people. All right, moving on to the super character rares, we have Kricketune V. I think that this is a phenomenal art, and I think honestly I gotta put it in my collection or I'll die. I love Kricketune for whatever reason. It makes the wackiest cry in Pokemon games, and I just love its giant mustache, especially with the kid. It's a Pokemon in the series that is not super strong per se, so it's very fitting that it's with a kid bug catcher, and I just absolutely love the illustration. I think the art is beautiful, it's very friendly, it's very inviting. The Kricketune really pops at you as something that's very contrast with the greens and the blues of the background, and I just overall love this card. I think it's really, really good and something I need for the collection. one. Now, Orbeetle and Bugsy. Bugsy is most notable for the Scyther that they have, but this Orbeetle I think is a really good combination. I think just in general, this Bugsy illustration looks super good, and Orbeetle being overall kind of a smaller Pokemon is super fitting. They're both exploring in the jungle, looking for different things to catch, and so Bugsy just having the time of their life as always, and then the Orbeetle ready to strike at a moment's notice is definitely one that I will want in English when it comes out, or if it comes out, I guess I should say. Nothing is guaranteed. Now, Orbeetle VMAX super character rare with Bugsy yet again, and I need this. I love Orbeetle, the Gigantamax version of it, both in the video game and the trading card game. I love the regular art. I love the pack art. I love all the arts of the gigantic Orbeetle VMAX, and I need this one in my collection as well. I love it so much, sucking up all the different things because it's a giant UFO, and Bugsy being like, oh god, what's going on? It's a great illustration. It's a really cool card as well in terms of the actual trading card game, and I would just love this for the collection. Now, this one that we gotta do is Blaziken V. This is the Rapid Strike Blaziken V alongside May, which honestly, I don't know what May's like canon Pokemon is. Isn't it Mudkip, I thought? But I guess we're going in with Torchic. I guess Brendan didn't want to be a part of this, but I think this is a really cool illustration, and if we don't get it in English, I'm gonna kind of be upset because this is a really cool card in my opinion. I think it's phenomenal, and I definitely, especially with its colors in it, doing the spin karate kick chow is really sweet. Now, moving along to the next one is Blaziken VMAX alongside May. Just like the Orbeetle, we got a V and a VMAX super character rare alongside these cards. And truthfully, I just think this is a good pull. I think the V is a better version than the VMAX, but that's not to say that the VMAX is a bad card. May holding on for her dear life, and Blaziken just high energy, running everywhere, ready to cause a ruckus. This is a good card, but I think the V is better. Now, Centiskorch V and Kabu. This is an interesting card in my opinion. I mean, this is a duo that we think of with Centiskorch because that's how it is in the gym, but this card like doesn't feel super appealing to me. Like, it's nice, I'd be happy to get it, I guess, but you know, if it comes between this card or maybe Jasmine and Bronzong, I'm gonna try to get the Jasmine and Bronzong, and I'll trade this in a heartbeat. It's a good illustration. It fits with the two, but I almost think that I would prefer the shiny Centiskorch V. Now it's time for Big Centiskorch VMAX. Now, this is a card that, I mean, Centiskorch VMAX is very big when it Gigantamaxes in the video games, of course, and it's very long, lengthy, and we see Kabu walking alongside it or jogging. It's kind of fitting because Kabu basically jogs in the entire game every time you see him walking around, but I don't really feel anything of this either. Like, I can guarantee that I would much prefer the shiny version than this card. It just doesn't have enough for me in this card. I don't know, maybe something else alongside it, or maybe some more vibes from the Centiskorch aside from just being large. So honestly, if I pull this in a box, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be like, man, I could have instead gotten the V and been a little bit happier. Now we start getting into the Calyrexes, including Ice Rider Calyrex V. And this is an interesting card. On top of the mountains, the snowy peaks, we see Calyrex, Glastier, and Peony, and it's a pretty illustration looking up top of the mountains, glaring out into the peaks and the valleys. And I think this is a cool card that I would like. I don't know if this is better though than the alternate art V that we got in Chilling Rain, but this is a cool one that I think I would love to have in the binder or play in my decks. But moving into the VMAX, I don't jive with this card, I'm gonna be honest. Look, it doesn't feel as unique because we literally just saw this with Blaziken VMAX. And you can argue even with Orbital VMAX about how the trainers are just struggling to control their Pokemon, essentially. Like, this style just kind of feels repeated, and and really, I don't think that this is better even than the alternate art Ice Rider VMAX in general. So I don't think I want this. Man, am I just going to be ragging on these VMAXs now? But I just think that there's much better in terms of arts. It's a cool illustration. It's not bad per se, but it doesn't feel unique. All right, going on to Pikachu V. Now, Pikachu V, for those of you that don't know, is going to be a money card. This is going to be one of the more expensive cards in the set, I feel like. And usually with Pikachu cards, I usually put them right here. I am not one that is head over heels on Pikachu cards. And with the red illustration, I just can't help to think that the Dream League one was just miles better than this one. And so I think it'll be nice if I got it, not because I absolutely love this card or I think it's super, super great or favorite Pokemon, but I think it'll be nice to get it because that is huge trade stuff. People are going to want this card. People are going to want to trade for it, and I can get some good stuff trading this card. Now, we've talked about this card on the Metapod, Pikachu VMAX, and to be honest, I gotta put this card a lot higher than the V. I said that I don't really like Pikachu cards, but I love Pikachu VMAX. I love the Chonkachu. I even have the figure. Thank you, Appa, for letting me keep the figure and sending it over to me. But I absolutely love Pikachu VMAX, and with red doing the cool palm hat thing, ready for battle. I think that this is a really, really cool card, and I definitely want this in English. I could see this, to be honest, in a promo box alongside the V, but you never know. I would be very surprised if we didn't get this, and if I don't get it, like, it's not the end of the world. This combo though of red and Pikachu, I think runs and gives the Dream League version a run for its money, unlike the V. Now, Zeraora, and I believe this is Gloria. I think actually her name is Serena, not Gloria, because of Pokemon Masters, Serena and Rowlet, which honestly, they should have made a Rowlet character rare card. I'm not mad about it or anything. I'm just disappointed. Rapid Strike Zeraora V getting another alternate art version, this time as a character super rare. And to be honest, I think it's a good pull. But anyways, I think that this is cool, but the alternate art for Zeraora V is too good to pass up. Like, I think of Zeraora V and I immediately think of the alternate art. I don't think of this character super rare, even though it's good, even though it's fun, even though I would love to have this. It's just not the first thing that I think of. Now, Bolton and Sonia. This is a very, very cool combination. A good art for Bolton. A card that is actually surprisingly cheap for how decent it is, in my opinion, as a playable card. And again, we love dogs. I mentioned this on the Metapod podcast, so I won't go too much into it, but this is just a loving card along with a good character in the new Sword and Shield games. And honestly, I hope we get this in English. This is the Bolton V card that I will think of when I think of Bolton V, and especially with the first attack, the Electrify. I can't remember what it's actually called. This is the good Bolton card in terms of competitiveness, and this is the superior art in my opinion. Now we go to Marnie and Morpeko V Union, and this is a really, really cool card. We know about V Unions and we know about Morpeko V Union, a combo of cards that has been announced. And in my opinion, I absolutely love this card. I love that the V Union got an alternate art. I think it's the first alternate art for V Unions, and I'd be really, really stoked about this. I'm interested to see how this is in the packs. If it's like the Pikachu V Union in the Celebrations packs in Japan, where if you pulled the V Union, you got every single card in the pack. I think that would be very, very cool and very, very fitting for this. And with Marnie, one of the signature Pokemon, this is a very, very good combination and a very, very lovable one too. I mean, Marnie is not someone that portrays a ton of emotions. So even though she's not smiling or anything or having a good time, really, she's ready for battle, and this is the embodiment of how I see Marnie. Absolutely love her. Also, play that one clip of Marnie that I have on my Twitch channel. Oh man, Morpeko's so cute. Marnie, please step on me. Now, Galarian Articuno V, and I believe this character's name is Victor in Sword and Shield. This is a very cool art, and I don't think this picture on Poke Beach does it justice. I mean, you can't always control the quality of your camera, I guess, even in 2021, which baffles me. But I think that this card is just kind of a good pull. I mean, I personally way prefer the alternate art that came of Articuno V, and although this is the embodiment of what happens in Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Crown Tundra, when you encounter this Pokemon, I don't think that this gives me the same vibes as the alternate art does. So, cool card, very awesome. I wish the picture quality was better, but I wouldn't be mad about this pull. Now, Sylveon V and Valerie, this is a pair that we absolutely love, and this is a beautiful card that I have to have in my collection. Sylveon has had some amazing cards during its time since its sort of showcase in X and Y, and this is an absolutely beautiful card. Sylveon V getting terrific arts. This is very soft. This is very warm feeling, very wonderful. I just vibe with Sylveon in general. One of my favorite evolutions, probably the best evolution in my opinion. And I really need this card. I absolutely love this. Hopefully it's accessible and hopefully it's not super expensive. And I know a lot of people are hyped about these two in the VMAX, and I agree. This is a very beautiful card. This is absolutely stunning. Again, with the softness of it, this gives a different kind of cozy, heartwarming vibe with this pair, especially with the softness in the colors, in the eyes, around those eyes and stuff, and around it carrying Valerie as well. But I don't think it's better than the V in my opinion. I think the V is a better art than the VMAX, but I'm still really excited about that VMAX. It's just not one that I have to have. Now, Mimikyu and Acerola, and to be honest, I have to have this card. People who have been around my channel for a long time know that I love Mimikyu. I mean, heck, I showed you the beginning of the video of my wooden carved Acerola and Mimikyu card from Dream League, and this card just cracks me up. Mimikyu just watching TV, probably watching a horror movie, and Acerola is just spooked to all heck. I absolutely love this card. I definitely need it, and I really hope I get the chance to include it in my personal collection. I mean, if you listen to the Metapod, you know that this is easily the #1 card that I have on my list. If this is not your first time here on the channel and you follow me on different platforms like Twitter, you know that this is my new profile picture. Acerola and Mimikyu VMAX is the best card in this set, in my personal opinion, and I will die on the hill. I absolutely love these two. It's my favorite combination of characters in any of these character rares, both in the past and in the future, and I just love sleeping Acerola so much. She's so cozy, and Mimikyu is so loving. Mimikyu is such a good Pokemon. I need this card, so please subscribe to the channel so eventually I can put ads in my videos and make money to be able to afford this card, even though it'll probably never happen. Anyways, let's just move on. You know how much I love that card. Now, this is a really cool new character rare with our character, I think, Victor, and then also the Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. Shadow Rider, a very good card. This, I believe, is the better Shadow Rider for those of you that play the Shadow Rider VMAX deck. And again, in my opinion, this is actually really sweet. You see walking along in this cave with a lot of crystals, very appealing to the eyes and very warming. You kind of first look at Victor, and then right next to Victor is the Shadow Rider because the orange is such a big contrast to the purple, blues, and greens. And I really like this card. I hope we get this card, whether that's a promo or what. And if we don't get it, I'm gonna be pissed. Now, moving into the VMAX, I actually think that this art is also really good. Now, in comparison to the Ice Rider VMAX, I think that the Shadow Rider VMAX is actually better. It's very similar to the alternate art that we got in Chilling Reign, and I think the inclusion of our character as well works really, really well. Again, it's a soaring with it, so it's not like a struggle and feels a little bit more unique than, let's say, the Ice Rider does, especially as a psychic Pokemon with kinetic energy and being able to like telepathically lift stuff and whatever. This card is very fitting, and again, the light colors gives it the same feel as the alternate art VMAX does, in my personal opinion, and I think that this is really beautiful and really, really well done. Definitely a card I hope to see in decks. Now, moving into Galarian Zapdos, I absolutely loved this card. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, when I first had to try to catch this Pokemon, I thought it was hilarious that you had to ride around on your bike all over the first wild area to try to catch this sucker. And it took me a solid like 10 minutes to be able to catch it because I'm bad at video games, hence the channel name Atrocious Gameplay. Regardless of that, I think that this is a really, really cool card. I wouldn't expect it with Sonia, but it is somewhat of a fitting character, and I absolutely love that she's riding on the Rotom bike as well. And just the Meet Roadrunner. I mean, you look at Tricky Jim, his illustration on some of his channel art is the Galarian Zapdos being in that Roadrunner scene. And again, I think it's really fitting, and I think this is a very, very fun card. I'd love to have this in my collection, and I hope to see it in my binder soon. Now, moving on to the One Punch Fu, or Single Strike Urshifu V, alongside our trainer, which I actually forget her name. Don't remember what it is in Sword and Shield, but in the Isle of Armor, a very, very cool illustration. Loving the punch. We've seen kind of the teaching already in the fighting, but what makes this better in that it's the same style is that the character in this is not struggling, having a great time fighting alongside, and also like kind of doing well, growing stronger with their Pokemon, not necessarily struggling. So I think it's kind of on the same level as the Passimian, but a little bit better because truthfully, I really, really like Single Strike Urshifu. I love this card. And so if that didn't give you any indication of where the VMAX version of this is going, I think that this is definitely one that I have to have. I ended up pulling the alternate art Urshifu VMAX Single Strike, and oh my god, it was a phenomenal moment and one that I will never forget. I absolutely love this card. It has a lot to me in terms of both playability and also just overall beauty, and I love the absolute punch. That's why I call this One Punch Fu, given a little bit of anime there, and it's terrific in my opinion. I absolutely love this. I love this illustration. I need to have this card, and alongside the character there, still doing the punches, but I like the wave, I like the hair flying and different things like that. Just gives it a lot more character in the big punch of the punch, if that makes the punch of the punch. What am I saying? Now we got the cheeky Rapid Strike food alongside Rapid Strike Mustard. It kind of surprised me that Single Strike Urshifu didn't have the Mustard as well, because we know that there's full arts of Single and Rapid Strike Mustard, so I kind of assumed that the Urshifu would be with Mustard as well. But I think this is a really, really cool card. I love that they're sliding around. It seems fast-paced. It seems like it flows well, especially when you think of water, when you think of like Demon Slayer or different animes like that. Water flows, it bends, it is morphing, it's ever-changing. And so that's kind of what this picture gives me the vibe of as well, especially with the smiling. It looks like they're just having a good time, battling each other, practicing, and just overall, like, it's a good combination of characters. It's a good pull, but I mean, it doesn't give me the same vibe as Single Strike. The VMAX, though, I think is on kind of that same level with the V. I would be psyched about the pull, but it's not necessarily one that I absolutely adore and love. I love that Mustard is in his like VMAX-ish form, if that makes sense. It gives off more personality than just the V, so I'm very happy that they decided to go with that route. And again, the Rapid Strike pose, cool, calm, collected. You attack first, come at me, bro, I'll just knock you out cold. That's the vibe that I get from this. It's very, very good. It's very, very inviting, but I feel like the alternate art is just so good. Again, first thing I think of when I think of alternate art Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. Now, Galarian Moltres V. Now, this is a card, again, just like Zapdos and Articuno, is pretty canon in the video games of how you encounter this Pokemon. But, I mean, it's trade fodder in my opinion. The alternate art is just so much better and miles ahead. I mean, there was a reason that was a hefty price when that card came out. And I don't think this comes anywhere near it. Sure, just like in the video games, you know, it's showcasing the Isle of Armor. I mean, there's nothing to really distinguish that this is the Isle of Armor anyways. So like, just feels like a normal field, normal patch of grass with the character, I think her name is Gloria. Like, it just feels normal. It doesn't give me like, oh my gosh, this card is great. So honestly, it's cool if I pull it. It's a very playable card, very good card, but I probably wouldn't keep it. I'd trade it for something else. We just got spoiled with that alternate art. Now, you heard me say this on the Metapod, but this is easily the best Crobat V art that you can get. Crobat V just continuously knocking out of the park. We got the alternate art in the trainer's toolkit. We got the shiny version, some plenty good arts at cheap prices for the Crobat V, but this is the best one by far. I really hope that we get this in English. This is the best, along with Silver, just very sinister and very, I guess you could say, I don't know what I'm gonna say. I feel like I don't want to repeat things that I said at the very beginning, but there's a lot of cards here, so that's very hard to do. But this is a really good combination, a really good illustration of this card, and I really hope that we have the opportunity to get this. I would love for this to be a promotional card as well, in like a box or another toolkit even, so then we could get this card really cheap, just like the other Crobat Vs. I want to see this in as many decks as possible, and I want to see this card cheap as well. Now, Umbreon V. I love Karen, don't get me wrong, but this card is just trade fodder to me. Much like a lot of these other cards in this area, especially these last couple, it's just not the one that I think of when I think of Umbreon V. And the alternate art in the original Evolving Sky set is so good. Like, that is easily the best Umbreon V art, and it's phenomenal. And I think that it's just better overall. I mean, Karen's great too, kind of coaxing it, kind of like, hey, come over here, Umbreon, let me pet you a little bit. Like, it's very cute and it's very warming and stuff, but it's just not as good as the sinister feeling that I get when I look at Umbreon alternate art V from Evolving Skies. Now, this Umbreon VMAX as well is in the trade fodder area for me. I mean, it's cool, it looks good, but it's like, it gives me the same vibe but worse for the alternate art VMAX. Again, the alternate art just super good, reaching for the stars, very large and on top of buildings. This one also very large and on top of buildings. I don't know, I just don't feel the same way as I do with the VMAX alternate art when I think of the Evolving Skies. Like, it's just a cool card in my opinion. Now, Eternatus V in here, a very cool illustration and a card that I would be happy to pull, but honestly, the black and gold version, just simply better. I mean, I love Chairman Rose's pose in here. It's a very typical pose for Chairman Rose. Very good combination of characters and very canon to the overall Pokemon franchise and their IP. But Eternatus, I mean, it's not the coolest looking Eternatus, I would say. I think that the like promo card that we got in the greenish is just better in my opinion, and then also the black and gold. So it's a good pull. I'd be happy with it because it's got Rose in it. It's a very fitting character, but it's not the best one. But this card, oh my god, Mitsuhiro Arita knocked this one out of the park with the VMAX, and it's one that I very much hope. I know this is a very popular card. A lot of people have been talking about this card on Twitter ever since it was announced and showcased, and it's a gorgeous looking card. Again, super sinister. You have like the Gigantamax whatever form of Eternatus that you see in the video game, the gigantic Super Smash Brothers hand. But honestly, it's a super great art. It's probably the best art that we have in my opinion. Probably goes up against and is better than the black and gold version. Definitely better than the like green promo version. And just Chairman Rose looks so sinister here, like way more sinister than the V. So it's very much one that I hope we get in English. I mean, Eternatus is just a pile of cards in a deck, but It's very, very cool, and I absolutely love this illustration, and I hope that we have the chance to get it. Moving on to the home stretch, we got Corviknight V, the metal bird Pokemon that transports people in the cab canon to the video games. And honestly, this is kind of a trade fodder pull for me. I mean, I like Corviknight V as a Pokemon and as a card, but this doesn't really scream anything at me per se. I think it's very fitting though, because we think of Corviknight as the super sinister bird. We don't often think of it as the taxi Pokemon per se that helps people transport from place to place. So this is a very fitting personality. It's something that I'm happy with, but I don't think it's something that I keep forever. I just wish maybe it was like the VMAX, I guess you could say. And I hinted at it earlier, but the VMAX for Corviknight VMAX. Now, this is a very interesting card because the red in terms of the VMAX is very, very strong. A lot stronger, in my opinion, than a lot of the other VMAXs that we've seen. And maybe that's just because of the green and the blues that are in this. Is just a color contrast because it's going through the fields and the sky and whatnot. But this is a cool illustration that I would want in my Corviknight VMAX decks. I hope we do get it, but I'm actually going to put it in the good pulls area. I'd be happy with this. I'm not overall excited when I think of this because I don't know if Corviknight VMAX, I mean, I don't think we've really gotten portrayals of Corviknight VMAX carrying the cab, but I would still kind of assume it in its claws, not necessarily on top of its head. So that's kind of a little weird for me, but I think that this is still a cool card. And now moving on to another version of Zacian V alongside Hop. This, in my opinion, is a very, very cool card. Hop, in my opinion, and I think that this is the correct opinion, I'm sorry, but Hop is probably the greatest rival that Pokemon has ever had in the franchise because it's actually a character that has had character development. He's not aggressive, he's a little bit dumb, but he actually changes throughout the game, and I think him getting to the point of Zacian or Zamazenta in the video game is very awesome, and it's very deserving. And it's super cool to see, and I absolutely love Hop. I love his characters. I'm honestly surprised that we don't have a Wooloo card with him, but I guess maybe in the future they could bring that back, leaving open the possibilities. But I think this is a very, very cool card. Definitely one that I would be happy with, especially because Zacian is super playable. But it's not the best one because I think the Zamazenta is better in my personal opinion, and we definitely need this in English. Hop, very high energy alongside Zamazenta, very fitting for his character. He's usually very, very excited in the main storyline about battling, about his adventure, about being as strong as his brother Leon, and I think that this is very fitting of a card. It's very, very well done. The eyes immediately pop to the Hop and Zamazenta, and the colors alongside it, the kind of pinkish purple blues, is very, very good and very, very complementary to the two characters on this. And I think that this is superior between the Zamazenta and Zacian. Definitely one that I want in English. Now, my goodness, this, in my opinion, is the Rayquaza VMAX card that we should have got. I will say it here right now. This is way, way better than the Rayquaza VMAX Rapid Strike alternate art that we got in Evolving Skies. Like, yeah, that card's kind of cool, but it's, I don't know, it just doesn't give me the same vibe as this. And maybe it's because of Zinnia. Maybe it's because I love Zinnia. I love her character. I love that the V card portrays Zinnia as well, especially in the Delta episode of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And I absolutely love, love, love this card. It's very, very good, although I don't need it. I mean, it doesn't have Whismur on it, right? But it's an absolutely beautiful card and one that I would love to have in my collection. And I agree, it's the superior version of Rayquaza VMAX. Now, continuing on the alternate arts that are better than their VMAX counterparts is Duraludon and Raihan. Now, this is a combination that I absolutely love in the V card, and the VMAX card is okay. I mean, again, I wish the trainer was present in the original VMAX alternate art, and that's a big reason why I think this is superior in my opinion. Now, personally, I don't have as much connection to the two, but I'm super happy about this pull if I get it. And I think that this is really cool that they're both going got Super Scion mode on this card. It's very fitting, it's very cool, and I love these combinations of characters. And I know that this card is on a lot of people's radars because Raihan is a very popular character. Now the final one is Blissey and Nurse Joy. Now this is a combination of cards that I think is very loving to a lot of people, and people love these two. But as the final card in this, I think I would maybe put it as trade fodder. I mean, it's very, very cute, and it's exactly what the Doctor ordered, but we already have a Doctor art in the Gardevoir and the Doctor, which I think is a superior art. And although Nurse Joy is definitely a character that a lot of people know way more than this random Doctor character, I just enjoy the regular Chilling Reign alternate art better. I think that one is just much more softer, much more inviting, and plays a lot more to the Blissey character itself. And you know, the Doctor is something that we expect with Blissey in comparison to something like Gardevoir, which we don't really expect. So truthfully, it's nice, but I'd trade it. And there you have it. There is my tier list for the character rares and super character rares of VMAX Climax. Again, in the description, I will leave a link to this so you could do this yourself as well. I'd love for you to show me on Twitter, in our Discord, anything like that. You can find me at any of those places in the description as well. I'd love for you to show me your tier list, and in the comments, tell me what cards you are most excited about in VMAX Climax. Just please be nice to me on my takes, okay? I'm not gonna judge you if your favorite card is Price and Abomasnow, but just for me, that's not one that I want. Anyways, I hope that you really enjoy this video. Check out some of these other videos that I got over here that I think that you'll enjoy. And again, have a great rest of the day. Hopefully you can get some VMAX Climax, and I hope you pull what you're looking for. Have a great rest of the day. Again, listen to the Metapod.